college football 2026 deluxe cover dropped, and it might be the creepiest college football cover to ever. It might be the creepiest video game cover ever.
Thumbnail.
All right, the boys are back. Waterboys College Football Show. That's all.
Always smiling. We're always laughing.
Thumbnail mid-video.
My wife calls that my I get a poop smile.
So
I'm like, I don't know how to.
we've all got one.
We've all got one.
That's mine. This is mine. Like, you seen that Smeagol meme from Lord of the Rings? Yeah, that's perfect.
A lot of things to talk about on the show. Because Steve is back, we are going to do most iconic football jerseys. Not going to do a draft, just going to a general discussion about the best college football jerseys and what makes a college football jersey iconic. College football 2026 deluxe cover. What's going on with Lane Kiffin? What future college football format with the college rewrite edit with future college football playoff format in flux? Greg Sankey says 4 automatic bids for the SEC could cost us positions. Greg Sankey wants to be no fun. From top to bottom, college football has never seen more coaching changes. A brand new article that just released, and that's going to be an interesting one. And then ranking all college football head coaches as players. ESPN put out a ranking of all college football head coaches as players. Who's the best? So we'll start there, or we won't start there, but that'll be on the show. Let's get right into it. Starting off, college football 2026 deluxe cover dropped, and it might be the creepiest college football cover to ever. It might be the creepiest video game cover ever.
I commented on ESPN College Football's Instagram post about this. I'm like, WTF is Lane Kiffin doing here? Because the coaches that were included were coaches of teams that made the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And then there was Lane Kiffin. Maybe it's because of how many tweets he sent off during the college football playoff. Maybe that's what got him on the cover. I don't know. I'm over the Lane Kiffin stuff. Just like, I'd be good if I never heard from or about that man for the rest of my life.
Well, and what's going on with Kirby Smart? Have you looked at Kirby Smart all the way over to the left there?
His was a little creepy too.
But Lane Kiffin looks like he's got a secret that he really wants to share.
I'm telling you, it's his next fire tweet that he's ready to type out and fire off.
I love that EA is just like, we can't figure out who to put on the cover. Everyone. Let's just put everyone on the cover of the college football game. Could have something to do with was it 4 guys that were on it last year? Or was it 3 guys? Look that up real quick.
They had 2 versions, right? It was 3, and then there was the cover of the players walking out on the field. Had a shot of them from behind.
And basically, none of the guys on the cover, other than Travis Hunter, ended up getting drafted real high. So maybe it was one of those, like, let's just put everyone on the cover instead of like picking and choosing.
Call me superstitious, but I believe in that stuff. Like,
nope.
I believe in it.
Nope.
Like, look at the Orioles right now. If you keep up with the MLB, they had Gunnar Henderson on the cover. Like, Pirates has not been doing good. Reds has not been doing good. They had Josh Allen on the cover.
Well, it killed a certain Cleveland Brown running back's entire career.
Trent Richardson.
Guy was on the cover, and then
I had high expectations for Trent Richardson.
Everybody did.
Yep.
It's like a Ryan Leaf thing where you were like, this is guaranteed. How could this go wrong?
Yep. I do think that they crushed it with the focal point being Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith. I mean, those are the 2 most electric players in college football right now. Granted, one has a national championship ring and the other one doesn't have even a college football playoff appearance, but we're splitting hairs at this point. But I do think that they crushed it with those 2. Yeah. I feel like that was having like so many there's a referee in the picture, I think, like on the cover, like all
There's
these fans and
there's a
former
dude
players and
There's
the
Ryan Day in
line
the
sucks.
picture.
yeah, Ryan Day is standing next to Caleb Downs. Like there's 3 Buckeyes on it, which I mean, you win the national championship, you get most people, I guess. I don't know how that works, but yeah, it was like I feel like that was maybe should have been last year because it was the first one back. Like maybe include everybody last year, but
Tim Tebow's on it.
yeah,
A random
There you go.
I guess it's a Navy. I was like, there's a cop on the front. No, it's a Navy midshipman.
There's a Boise State fan that kind of looks like a Rick James throwback. Cool hair. I like it.
Is that Rick James?
It looks like Rick James with a Boise State necklace. Oh, that's my final answer.
There we go. It's a weird cover. I'm sure it won't. I'm sure it won't stop the sale. Reggie Bush show. Reggie Bush getting some shine. Welcome back to college football, Reggie Bush.
and you look at the very other side from Reggie Bush, James Franklin,
Hey guys,
the only game where he could beat Ohio State,
this will be it.
the video game.
That's pretty funny. That's good stuff. All right. Yeah. Well, I don't have a next gen console, but if I did, I'd probably go ahead and buy it. So
Yeah.
I'm
same.
sure it won't hurt it.
And that's this year's Canva cover for the college football new game coming out.
There we go. It does
Made
look
in
like
Canva.
it does look like it was made in Canva. All right. So Greg Sankey talked college football expansion and said that 4 automatic bids for the SEC could cost them positions. This was the quote. So if you actually go back and do the research, that kind of format could cost us positions, Sankey said, depending on the number of teams. I don't see the critics really digging in to understand that reality. I don't see the critics actually analyzing, like I've just described, how schedules are evaluated. So the critics can run the microphone and share their opinions. We're trying to find a format to determine whatever number it is, the best teams in college football. And I think where we are right now is have used a political process inside a room to come to do decisions about football. We should be using football information to come to football decisions. My biggest takeaway from this, depending on the number of teams, I don't see the critics really digging in to understand that reality. I don't see the critics actually analyzing it like I just described how schedules are evaluated. I saw Greg Sankey in College Football Playoff Committee. We all operated under the assumption the last 4 years that scheduling doesn't matter. Because if it mattered, if strength of schedule mattered, Boise State and SMU would not have been in it. So can we decide if strength of schedule actually means anything in this at all?
Is anybody missing the 4-team playoff yet?
No,
Is anybody missing that yet? No, just me. Okay.
what does he mean by 4 automatic bids for the SEC will cost them positions?
I think
what does he mean by that?
I think what he's saying is if we get 4 automatic bids, we're not going to get any past that. Which in the current format, 4 is more than you probably should have.
Who was the 5th best SEC team?
That's
this
a good
last season.
Last year. Let's look
who finished 5th in the SEC? And I'm willing to bet that it was probably Alabama or Ole Miss.
And what's going to happen next year, because the current format, the contract ends at the end of 2025, and then they've got to set everything up.
Well, they've also already made the decision about changing the seating now, just doing straight seating.
So can we just take a moment and appreciate that they unanimously came to that consensus on the seating needed to be addressed? Have they ever made a unanimous decision?
It was actually pretty shocking. They actually did the right thing for once, too.
So if you went off 2024 SEC standings, now these are going to be a little different because like Alabama in conference was not good.
No.
5
but that game that they play against the Alabama junior high all-star team in the middle of the season.
Yeah. The Rice in November.
Yeah, just some team that they should not be playing at the end of the season.
They're playing the Citadel, second week of November. If you go by the rankings, Texas 1, Georgia 2, Tennessee 3, Ole Miss 4, Missouri 5. There's no planet that Missouri should have been in the college football playoff.
No.
Maybe the season before, but not last season.
The SEC's 3rd team, Tennessee, got curb stomped by the Big Ten's third team in the first round.
Yes.
So I don't think Greg Sankey. We've been operating under this assumption for damn near 2 decades at this point that the SEC, it's just harder to play football in the SEC. And I have never bought it, and I will never buy it because I just don't think it's true. Week in and week out, every single conference that any team is a part of is going to have to play against a top 1 through 3 of that conference. The rest of the conference, for the most part, is a wash. Everybody's beating everybody because that's how conferences are designed. And I am so tired of sitting here and going against this about this assumption that just because, and I know I talked up Arkansas recently in one of these episodes, but just because you have to go into Fayetteville week 9 and play against the Razorbacks, that's not a hard football game to go and win. It's just not. And I'm sick and tired of everyone, it seems like everyone in the world, telling us that the SEC from top to bottom is the hardest teams to play against in the entire country because it's just not true. And this feels like this is what Greg Sankey is alluding to, is just that we're in the SEC, like it's harder to play games, it's harder to win games here, so we should be given more spots. That's what it sounds like he's saying to me. And I'm sick and tired of it.
Well, they've never, and some of this, even based on the rankings, like I would not have wanted to play number 7 Alabama or number 8 LSU. I, as a member of this conference and the team that I root for, although I am wearing a Hoosiers hat, if you had said Oklahoma, you got to go play Missouri or South Carolina, I would not have been like shaken. I would have said, okay, that seems like a game we could probably win. I think for one thing, the SEC has always been top heavy. For two, a lot of these rankings are going to depend on how they scheduled it. Texas got a really nice schedule the last 2 years. They got a really nice schedule. Their hard opponents are at home. They're going on the road to weaker teams. They're getting a nice little break from the schedule. And all the crap they used to talk about, the old Big 12, you know what the old Big 12 had? Everybody played everybody.
Yep.
And it would always shake out in the bowl game because the Big 12 would put teams in a bowl game that would go in there and kick the living crap out of a mid-tier SEC team, and they wouldn't have even sniffed a Big 12 title. So I think the SEC has always been top heavy. It's just the one thing I will say, it does mean more there. Whether that's a marketing thing, whether it's the South and it's football or whatever it is, but their stadiums are louder on general, but I don't know I don't know how many points you get for having a hard home atmosphere. Like how many points does LSU get if you have to play a night game? Does that get you 7? Does it
If
get you,
they get to them.
A&M, A&M has a great home atmosphere. I don't know that that's like got them a whole lot of extra wins.
I don't either. I'm looking at the bowl records from this last season. The SEC was 8-7. Barely above 500 in bowl
Does bowl
games.
games even matter though anymore with the portal and kids opting out not to play?
Well, a couple of those were college football playoff games.
And saying that's my biggest issue is the regular season, like not making it as important anymore. Like Lincoln Riley, what's going on at USC? Are you scared of Notre Dame? Why are you wanting to take them off the schedule? Like if the Big Ten gets 4 automatic seeds, like that conference is not that stacked where you have to worry about taking Notre Dame off your schedule, which fans want that, so you can get one of those 4 automatic seeding for the playoffs. So, and then the conference games and just everything that goes in the regular season, like with the playoff expansion, is it starting to taint the regular season just to make more money and get more views and ratings for the playoffs? That's kind of,
like, I just don't think that Greg Sankey has any legs to stand on when the SEC had 3 teams in the college football playoff last year, and the only team that even won a game was brand new to the SEC last year. You have no leg to stand on. If you're saying that you get 4 spots and that's it, it's going to cost you more spots. Well, you better hope that those 4 spots come out and perform well, because that is not what happened this last college football playoff. Tennessee came out, got boat raced. Texas came out, they won their first round matchup, obviously, because they were playing against a broken Clemson team that I don't even know how they got in the first place. And then Georgia had the first round bye, and then just got boat raced by Notre Dame that in that game. So it's just like, I don't see a world in which that the truth of the SEC being the best conference in college football is still remotely the case in 2025. I just don't see it.
I mean, it's getting harder to make the argument other than it. They're still, as a conference. I'll say we, since my school is here, we are still living off of the Nick Saban Alabama run.
Yeah.
And then, you had Georgia win a couple, and then you had Florida win, Florida won a couple. I mean, we're doing that whole song and dance. And, you know, Texas would have been Texas whether they were playing in the Big 12 or the SEC. It's not like
Yep.
Texas got into the SEC and all of a sudden like got great. Like they had made all the right moves. They brought in the right guy. They were going to be who they are. And as a member of a, fan base from a brand new team, we actually get taught. I mean, I talked to other SEC fan bases. They still don't consider Oklahoma and Texas SEC. I don't know how long we got to play in that conference before we get considered SEC, but
Yeah.
apparently 2 years is not long enough. So, that is what it, but at the end of the day, I get it. It is the South. I think the best college football might be played in the South, but I think that's a very top end, top of conference, thing. I think if you put Big Ten up against SEC, the top ends are as even as they can get. And I don't think any conference is great in the middle or at the bottom. I can't ever think of a conference where we were like, oh, that number 9, if they walked into the ACC and played the number 3 team, they would kill them. I don't know that is true. Now, sometimes the style of football can either help you or hurt you. I mean, for a long time, Big 12 threw the ball all over the place, scored lots of points, and people were like, yeah, but get over here into the Big 10 or the SEC where they play defense. And now I was going, well, go look at the bowl record. Those teams did fine and no
Yeah.
problem scoring points.
I mean, it's just the transfer portal and NIL has shook everything up, obviously. So, there's not going to be any under the table backdoor deals that Big Ten and SEC were doing to trying to get kids to come play, at their schools. So one could argue it's a more even playing field, but as far as any conference goes, like I still think you're going to see kids that are diehard fans and their family are diehard fans of certain schools. And if they probably get an opportunity to go play there, they're going to. I can't think of the recruit's name, but the only reason why it made me think of this is Florida State, I think, currently has like 9 recruits committed, and Florida only has 2 from the last I checked. And one of the 2 that's committed to Florida is one of those stories, diehard Florida fan, his whole family. So, I mean, you're going to see obviously some of that, more your top end players. They're going to go make their money, want to go wherever they can, NIL, that type of stuff. But, you're still going to, I think, see kids that want to go to that program because, like Will Campbell, perfect example of the Patriots. He's a Louisiana kid. LSU, I'm pretty sure, from my understanding, was the school he always wanted to play for. So, it meant something to him. He probably could have got hopped in the portal, went somewhere else, made some money somewhere else. But, so there's going to be some of that to kind of even things out, I would think. But
Yeah.
as far as one conference being the most dominant one or SEC or whoever, like, no, I think it's just different now. Trade portal, NIL, it shook all that up. So,
Yeah. And if we really want to get into it, The last two national champions came from the Big Ten. And like I said, the only team out of the SEC that even won a game or two, they won 2 games in the college football playoff this last year, was a team that wasn't even in the SEC 2 years ago. So
And
I
hey, I
just like,
appreciate the drama. Like, I hope there's some SEC teams get pissed off because Big
yeah,
Ten's won it the past 2 years. That's just going to make the season more fun to watch.
yeah, and like I I just like this thing from Greg Sankey is just like when I saw this article came out, it just like obviously really got me going, really buttered my biscuit. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, what am I reading?
Well,
It it
this is also the same guy that said he was going to start fining universities whose kids either flooded the field or stormed the court.
That's
So
true. Yeah.
he's like the captain of the no fun police.
That is true. It's just like I'm tired of it. And it's like, I mean, Lane Kiffin, that's part of my issue with Lane Kiffin was just like his incessant like, well, I wonder I wonder what would have happened if we were playing in this game instead of this team that the college football playoff selection committee put in. I'm like, brother, delete Twitter off your phone, please. Like, do the world a favor. Like, I'm tired of hearing it. I had to mute him on that social media because I'm tired. I couldn't handle it anymore. So I just, yeah.
Yeah, and he's take a page out of Bill Belichick's, playbook. Go get you a good looking young lady to run your Twitter. It'll help your life. It'll help your life. All right. So speaking of shakeups in a 4-year span, 2,163 on-field coaches have changed jobs in the annual coaching carousel audit. The last 2 years have been the most hectic on the coaching carousel, with a total of 61 programs changing head coaches, including 30 during the most recent 2024-2025 cycle. That represents an incredible 44.9% of FBS teams changing leadership in less than 2 calendar years. This could be some of our issues, college football.
Might be.
Yeah.
I mean, 44.9% of FBS teams are changing coaches in less than 2 years. In the era of NIL and transfer portal, how in the world do you expect a coach to be able to put a program together that is going to compete in 2 years? And I'm not talking about like, if you're somebody in the comments gonna be like, oh, well, Colorado. Listen, Colorado still hadn't won diddly poop. So all it's proved is you can make a program relevant. Indiana still hadn't won diddly poop, but you can make a program relevant quickly. You cannot take a program from the barrel to the penthouse using only transfer portal. It's not possible.
Yeah. I mean, Kentucky, if we could you could almost make a segment out of this, like making the case segment. I can make one for Kentucky. I mean, they had that 10-3 season, and then Liam Cohn leaves to go to the Rams for 2 seasons, comes back to Kentucky and claims that, oh, I want to raise my family here and all this. And then he leaves in February of last year. And we had to get, what was the OC's name? I think of it in a minute. Bush. We got a new OC trying to implement his offense with Liam's players. So there's certain things that's out of your hand. I mean, there's certain things that are in your hand, like Stoops. We got to get better this year, baby, at clock management. Like, we could have won that game potentially against Georgia. Why would you punt it back, 4th down, and give them the chance to run the ball out? We could have maybe won that game. But yeah, things like that, coaches leaving, taking opportunities, and again, kind of what you were talking about at first, the NIL transfer portal stuff, NIL in general. I think it's just enhanced the "what have you done for me lately" business.
Well, and it's if college football is not careful, if you can't implement some sort of contract, this is going to turn into the big joke is in baseball. If you have a amazing year as a team, don't worry. The next year, the Yankees and the Dodgers are going to come pilfer half your roster. Like, and that could happen. I mean, and I'm talking, there's 2 guys on here who traditionally root for teams that have had large budgets. Like Ohio State and Oklahoma have massive NIL budgets. But for the good of the sport, I don't want to see where guy comes in at Kentucky or guy comes in at Oklahoma State and has an unbelievable year, and then the big dogs, blue bloods, just get to pilfer half the roster because they can pump money into it. It's not good for the sport, and it makes the regular season really tough when, as a fan, especially if you're a kid and you have no idea who's playing from one year to the other. I mean, it was weird. This was the first year I can remember watching where they're mentioning 3 and 4 schools when they're talking about a player. When he was back at then, and then he went here, and then he went there, and then now he's here. And I'm like, yeah, that's not good. It's not good for
Yeah.
college football. It's not good for those players.
What's recruiting high school kids gonna look like? Because just like keeping up with some of the Kentucky stuff today, like Stoops went for older players that's got more playing time. I've not heard a lot about signing any kind of high school kids at all. You know, so and I think more colleges are looking at that in the transfer portal. They're looking for more guys that's got playing time, instead of just kids coming straight out of high school. So what's that do for high school kids?
Well, I could tell you what it's done for college basketball. Got guys like Rick Pitino saying, "I will not recruit a high school kid."
Yeah.
It's got it's got Ole Miss having to replace their entire roster, and they're gonna have to go
Yeah.
transfer portal to do it. They're not.
So I guess like what? Unless you're someone like LeBron James that can just step into the league at like what 19, you have that kind of talent. Like you're not going to get as much of a shot anymore in any kind of collegiate sports.
I
Well,
mean,
and
some schools it'll happen. I mean, we just talked about the 2 cover athletes for college football. Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith, true freshmen. Ryan Williams was 17 years old during the regular season this last year. Jeremiah Smith turned 19 the day before the Michigan game. So I mean, if you've got, but we're talking about like 2 of the best at their position in the country right now. It's not that case all the time, but if you've got the talent, they will find you. Somebody
well,
will sign you.
where it's gonna hurt is the trenches, because in the
Yeah.
SEC and Big Ten, that's always been. I've talked to multiple coaches. That's where it separates the men from the boys in those conferences. It's the
Yep.
trenches. It's that's why when you see a Conference USA team or a American Conference or whatever, like they'll skill position wise they can match up. They can match
Yeah.
up with anybody, but they can't match up in the trenches. And if you can't move your offense, or if you can't stop a defense, like that's just where it is. And so, and those positions, that takes more than a year for most to be able to put something together where it can work. You got to have some sort of continuity on your offensive and defensive line if you want to be able to compete. I don't want to watch I don't want to watch 65, 50
Yeah.
games.
I don't wanna watch another Kentucky season where Bush Hampton, that's his name, where, Liam Combs leaves in February, and like I said, they're scrambling to get an OC, and he's gotta implement his offense with players. It's not technically his players.
Right. All right. This is an interesting article. I had no idea this was even a thing, but ranking all college football head coaches as players. So, to be honest, I did not. This is this is pretty interesting because this has never been anything I've ever worried about. Like I've never thought this was a thing. I just assume if you're coaching college football, and there are some, like outliers, I just assume you can't play. Because that's normally what coaching is it's like they were an okay
Yeah.
player, but like they were an X's and O's guy and they were like really into the game. Like, Dion gets to kind of like, buck that a little bit, but they rank a lot of coaches.
Yeah. Wait a second. Limited production. Okay, never mind. I'm like at the top of this thing. I'm like, where is Dion? Where is Josh Heupel? Like you have to scroll. Is
Yeah,
what
they've
I'm
kind of
noticing.
split this up. Um, They have like group of 5 stars, small school standouts. They're kind of like, and some of these guys, I'm glad they broke it up because some of these guys, nothing.
That picture of Brett Bielema from
They were-
1989 is
Yee. Mike Mike Norvell rocking the cornrows as a player at Central Arkansas. That's pretty funny.
he was a sugar bear. How about that?
Good lord. Yeah, but some of these guys like they're actually better players than I thought. Shane Beamer,
Yeah. Tyson Kelton, shout out WKU, right in my back door.
yeah, look at
It's
that.
awesome.
Rich
Former
Rodriguez.
quarterback.
I'm shocked that they have Brent Brennan at the limited production.
So here's the 30 best. All right, here it is. Luke Fickle, 50 consecutive starts at the Ohio State. Ryan Beard at Missouri State. Eric Morris, North Texas. He was played for Coach Leach as a receiver in the air raid offense. So, that guy put up numbers. Justin Wilcox, Jay Norvell, Brent Key, and then we'll scroll up a little bit. Kellen DeBoer, he played at University of Sioux Falls.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Go ahead and put Belichick at the bottom of the list. I think even he would tell you that.
Yeah, we'll see what the
He
top
was
here.
he was center
Oh,
there for a brief minute.
if you're an Oklahoma fan watching this, here's the name of a guy that you probably haven't heard in a long time. Major Applewhite. He was at Texas. I can remember that, and was actually a really good player at Texas. He's at South Alabama. Scott Frost at number 9. He was a parade All-American at Nebraska's Wood River High School, and dual threat quarterback. Trent Dilfer. How is he not number 1? Wasn't Trent Dilfer like a legit NFL quarterback?
Well, I'm assuming Coach Prime is number 1. I haven't scrolled down far enough yet. But
Jonathan Smith at Michigan State, walk-on quarterback at Oregon State. Deshaun Foster, that name should ring a bell. Running back for UCLA. Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. He held a ton of the passing records at Oklahoma State for a long, long time. Steve Sarkisian, let's see here. Started his career as a USC baseball player, then went to El Camino College, where he resumed it, and then he went to BYU after that. Josh Heupel, number 3. If you don't know this, and you don't know your college football, and you're watching this show, he won a national championship at the University of Oklahoma. Eddie George, Bowling Green.
oh yeah, he is a head coach now. That's funny.
Yeah, buddy. Bowling Green Falcons, Eddie George. And then Dion, of course, number 1. There may never be a coach with a better like college football resume than Deion Sanders. Although Eddie George is probably close. If you take out the NFL, Eddie George that's a pretty hard argument. Yeah, I mean, I could argue it both ways, but
I would think that the only like there's like a handful of guys that could potentially take that number 1 spot.
yeah.
And Archie Griffin is way too old to
Yeah.
start coaching college football.
Yeah.
I think the better list is the never played list. Manny Diaz never played at Duke. Kenny Dillingham never played, blew his knee out in high school. Sonny Dykes at TCU is the son of a longtime Texas Tech football head coach. Never played. Hugh Freeze never played. Joey McGuire up at Texas Tech never played. Man, you gotta have some sort of relationship, get a job head coaching in college football and having never played college football.
Or you're just like a really good interviewer or just a genius.
Did Josh McDaniel at Miami play football at any level?
I don't think so. I think he was just a ball boy and then somehow got into the Shanahan system.
He was the Eric Spoelstra at Miami. That he was the film room guy that everybody was like, he's smart. Let's get back.
Well, he was a ball boy for the Broncos when Mike Shanahan was a head coach there,
and then ended up coaching for him.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of actually how it happened.
Stay around the program, man. Just stay around the program.
Yeah,
somebody will go, hey, you want to coach? Blah 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 this spring. Sure, why not?
Yeah, here's Tua Tagovailoa. Have fun.
F that guy. There you go. If you want to see that, article's over on ESPN if you want to see where your head coach played and if he was any good. All right. What makes a college football jersey iconic, and what are the best college football jerseys of all time? So first of all, we need to set it up. What makes a college football jersey iconic, Stress?
I think it's the totality of the uniform and the history behind it. Because I think that there are some schools that their jerseys are pretty boring, but their helmets are awesome. And they have so much history, tradition, and success at these schools. Like I'm thinking like Notre Dame.
I mean, you can say
Boring jersey.
we're right. It's fine. We're boring.
Oklahoma, boring jerseys. Alabama, boring jerseys. Ohio State, not as boring as the other three that I just mentioned. Still boring jerseys.
Penn
State.
State, boring
Penn State,
jerseys.
boring. Like it's just like there's so
Yeah.
many of these schools that it's just boring. But their helmets, when you include their helmets, it's like, oh yeah, okay, now we're talking. You got the Buckeye stickers. You've got the number on one side for the Alabama uniforms, their helmets. The Wolverines have that banana
Well, and
splatter or
then
whatever they call it.
and you have some schools that their regular uniform, like Nebraska, is really boring. But when they do the black shirts,
Yes, those
you're
are
like,
sweet.
oh yeah, baby.
But then you've got schools like Oregon.
You can't. Do they
They
have an
have
iconic jersey? I don't know.
they have so many really cool uniforms, really cool jerseys. So, but like no success in any of them.
No.
It's just that's a hard question to answer. But I feel like you have to let your view of what a college football jersey looks like be swayed by the totality of the uniform and the history and success that jersey has witnessed.
And what iconic players in it. So I mean that has a lot to do
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
When you look at a jersey and all of a sudden you've got 3 or 4 names that come to it. I think of the traditional powerhouse schools. ESPN Southwest Florida put out a list. I've always been a fan of Georgia's. There's something about their red and black. It's kind of similar to Ohio State's red and black. I'm a big fan of that like cardinal red, as opposed to like crimson red that like
Yeah.
Oklahoma's got. I like that cardinal red with black. Um, I think Clemson in the orange isn't my favorite, but it is a lot of people's. I don't actually think anybody in college football has a better uniform and helmet combo than Florida.
You might be
I
right.
was gonna say Florida State. I really like Florida State's too.
Yeah, the Seminoles have some pretty sweet.
Yeah. But I agree. Like for me, it's the totality part, like Stress says. Like I hate it when the jerseys slack, but the helmets are dope, or vice versa. And,
Yeah.
like I still think one of the best helmets, at least of last year, and I was so happy to see them step up instead of just using the chromed out helmets like they do every year. Is WKU. Western Kentucky killed it last year with the big eyeballs on the side of the helmet.
Yeah.
So I thought they could have done a little bit more of the jerseys instead of just plain red or whatever. But yeah, when it's a full package, you get tired of like, you know, Alabama's, Penn State's, stuff like that. It's like give us a little something,
Some creativity.
Well,
give us
and
something.
the first couple of years that Oklahoma had the bring the wood jersey, they called it, we played bad in it. So I was the guy that was like, no, we don't play in
Get
that.
rid of it.
But
Yeah.
UCLA's gold and blue, I always think looks really
Yeah.
cool, especially a day game on TV. It looks really, really good. Hot take, I've always thought that the Miami U was about as overrated a helmet as is in college football. I don't like it. I think it's real like their jerseys are like the orange and the green, the way they stripe the pants, stripe the shoulder, and then the helmet just kind of looks like to me. It's kind of got
Yeah.
a Nebraska thing going for me. And the but my I will say, and Texas is one of those. It's not a crazy jersey, it's not a crazy uniform, but there's something about it's Strez will, y'all play him, but it's something about like when they run out of the tunnel with the Longhorn thing, it's got like a aura thing. I don't know that
Yeah.
it means
And
Yeah.
when I think of like a Texas jersey, I immediately see Vince Young.
Yeah.
Running it in to the pylon for that touchdown in the national championship. Like Like some jerseys just have moments to them where you're just like undeniably like this is one of those jerseys that's up there.
Well, and that's what makes Oklahoma's cool because you get like you see it and you immediately you're like Adrian Peterson, Baker
Yep.
Mayfield, like there's names that come up. But if you take all those, those traditional schools that's what you think of out of it, I personally don't think there's a better uniform. The two schools I think have the best uniform all in for me personally is Ole Miss and North Carolina. And I know that those, Ole Miss, I guess if you think well, now you think Jackson Dart, but I guess Eli Manning. But I like the powder blue with the red and the white. I think it looks
Yeah,
really
those are
cool
nice.
on TV. But North Carolina, I mean, and the fact they were the first school that had the jump man, and then they had the whatever that pattern is. Like I just always thought those were really really cool. And they're a school that traditionally it doesn't mean a whole lot, but it does that. But on this list, I think people will get mad if we don't mention LSU is very popular
That's true.
uniform,
I feel like gold and purple is kind of like a rare combo. And it really sticks out too because LSU has had some prolific talent wear their jerseys.
and we got to ask
So
you because you're a Big Ten guy. In the Big 12, Texas always had that aura running out of the tunnel. Notre Dame have that same aura. If you're a Big Ten team that has to play them in your regular season, they run out of a tunnel. You're like, that's Notre Dame. Those are gold helmets.
yeah, I feel like the whole Golden Dome thing or whatever they call it, like there is something to it. I think that there like it's and it's so plain and they're one of those schools that doesn't have names on their jersey.
Which I think's cool.
And they do it in the postseason if they get there. But
Yeah.
they don't have the name on the back of the jersey the whole season long, which is so rare now because so much of college football, we've talked about this before, is so much like me. Like the name on the back is more important than the name on the front. But like at Notre Dame, that is not the case. It can't be the case. There is no name on the back.
What do you think about that's like set the standard for them? Like, you want the name on back of your jersey? We
Make it to
consider
the
earning
playoffs.
it to be playing in the
Yeah.
postseason.
Yeah, which is awesome. I think that that's so cool. But yeah, there is something to that too. And I think I'll also give Penn State a little bit of that too, especially when you're in like their whiteout.
Yeah.
If you're at the stadium and they're doing their whiteout and it's all that stuff, you've got whoever is wearing the 11 that season for the newest member of Stick City. Micah Parsons, Abdul Carter. All these guys that have ever worn 11 for that school. There's something to it too with that like navy and white in that whiteout atmosphere too.
They've got it number 1 on this list, USC. Now, here's what I will say. There was a run
I can
where
see
if
that.
that's who you got matched up with in a bowl game, you knew you was gonna lose. Like, they had a run where you were like, "This is the best program in America."
Yeah. You just think of that, think back to the sidelines with Pete Carroll and Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart, and you're just like, and the uniform was the exact same. It felt like every single year. Like there was no minor tweaks, no minor changes. It was exactly what it was, and it was going to stay that way. I can definitely see that.
And then
Do we
you
have
got teams like Oregon and Memphis. It's got like 20 different alternatives.
A new
So,
uniform every single week,
yeah, it's
which I
insane.
would not like. I always remember like the beginning of the season when you're putting your helmet on for the first time, like it takes a couple days to like for the helmet to kind of break in. Same thing with cleats.
Yeah.
Like it takes a few days for these things. Oregon rolls out in a new helmet and new shoes every single week. I'm like,
Isn't Nike's headquarter up there?
yeah,
I think.
it's there in Eugene.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know how they're able to do that. I just like I can't.
that's Phil Knight's alma mater too. So
Yeah,
Phil Knight from Nike. We do have to give the shout out to the team up north, although Strez doesn't like them. Michigan does have a very classic,
very
clean.
very classic. Those helmets, I'll give it to them. Those helmets are cool.
I don't get people hate on them helmets. I'm like,
I hate them just because of the nature of who I am. But they're cool. They're old school.
I just want them to redesign their stadium to be louder because the stadium that seats that many people that you want to call the big house, you need to design that thing to be louder because it's not that loud.
Yeah, it goes out and not up.
Yeah, you got to
That's how all of the stadiums are because like college football stadiums are massive. There's like 15 college football stadiums that are all ahead of the biggest NFL stadium on like the size of football stadiums. But everybody talks about Seattle and Kansas City as the two loudest crowds. I'm like, how are drunk college football fans on Saturday nights not the loudest fans in the world? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Or at College Station or any.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you,
Longhorns
Oklahoma until a few years ago had an open end zone. It
Yeah.
wasn't bowled all the way in. And the first game I went to where they bowled that thing in, it was wild
Yeah.
how loud it got. I mean, they were having trouble with microphones on the field because it's giving you feedback you didn't know was going to be there. And I was like, now I'm looking at it like, just need a third level on that end zone on that side, and this place will be a bonkers to have to play in. But yeah, I mean, only ones on this list that they mentioned that we didn't mention. Obviously, we said Oregon, but they don't get to count because they got 75 uniforms. I don't think you ought to be able to count. Washington, they got on here with the purple and the gold. I do like the 3 stripe down the middle of the helmet. I think that's sweet.
Yeah.
They have Nebraska on here. That's got to be one just based on, and Alabama's on here. Listen, that's the problem with Alabama. It's like if Alabama's running out of the tunnel at you and you're the team playing, your images of players are flashing through your head of like, that's Alabama.
Yeah. I can see the Nebraska, for me, like it's their helmet.
Yeah.
Like it's that red stripe down the middle with the N on the side. Like that looks clean. That looks nice to me, but like the jersey itself is not.
They're
they're
the school that their alternate, their black shirt is leaps and bounds better than their
those are cool.
main, like the whole black shirt thing. They, people wear
throw the bones or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I would love that. But all right, well, there you go. There's our list. If your team didn't make it, we're sorry. We're not going to consider teams that have no tradition because we're going to do that. There are some teams like
that need a makeover.
Yeah.
I was sitting here thinking about that, like Arizona. Gosh.
Yeah, there's a list we should do sometime. What's better, their college basketball uniform or their college football uniform? Because there's some college basketball schools that they'll do the exact same type of uniform for college football, and it don't work. And Arizona is one of them. Their college basketball uniform is awesome. They transferred over to college football, and I'm like, not good. It's not good at all.
Ohio State has tried that with the all gray several times, and they finally got it this year, I think.
With college basketball?
Yeah, and where because that's their basketball team wears an all gray.
Yeah.
The football team, they actually wore an all gray this year, and this was the first year that it was like even remotely close to being the same gray. So it's just like, it finally happened, but it's like a weird.
And because a lot of people from Oklahoma watch this, Oklahoma State doesn't get to make the list. They're like Oregon. You guys got too many jerseys. I don't know what to do with you. You have 75 helmets and too many jerseys. I can't keep it straight. I don't know what you're wearing from week to week. So, there you go. All right. Well, that's all we got on the show tonight. We'll come up with some stuff for next week. And I'm sure Lane Kiffin will be active on Twitter if we're short on any content.
So. I won't see it. He's muted.
Thanks, guys.